Hey comrades, hope everyone's doing well. We're on to volume 6 of Fairy Tale, and this we pick up right where we left off, right in the middle of this battle between Leon and Gray. And so Gray's laying there on the ground. He looks all injured and stuff. And then we switch over to Natsu, and he's chasing around this masked fella. And we learn that this masked fella's like secret magic is like time magic. It can't manipulate humans or people or whatever, but it can manipulate objects. And so what they're doing is they're sending rocks at Natsu and going back and forth. At this point, we're full on into the shonen anime battle. So we switch back over to Gray, who gets up from the ground and hits Leon in the face and just like pounds him. And then Leon's like, "How are you still alive?" And then Gray's like, "I've reached my limit with my bullshit with you." And so they battle and they go back and forth. And there's like ice magic and more ice magic and then more ice magic. And it goes on for a bit. And then like Leon's like laughing because Gray gets hit pretty hard by his dragon magic, and it doesn't matter who wins this battle. The Moondrop magic's Zalti, the guy with the mask, is still gonna wake up Deloria. But then Gray's like, "Don't ever underestimate Natsu." And then we go back to Natsu, and Zelti's just standing there being like, "It's melting." And then Natsu's like, "But-ow!" And then they start fighting some more. But we see that the Moondrop magic's working because there's somebody doing the ceremony, and that one person doing the ceremony is the cat face guy upstairs. Because the rest of like the main enemies are unconscious, and the rest of the priests who are doing it are taken care of by Lucy and Urza. So then Natsu continues his battle with Zelti, despite the fact that Deloria is being melted at this point. So they fight. More shonen fights. Go back to Gray and Leon. They shonen fight. They talk about and what it means to be her disciple, and then we get some flashback to when after died and Gray went and joined Fairy Tale, and he's like, "I was sent here because I'm trying to find the biggest whatever," and it was Makarov who's like, "Oh, she's not dead, she's part of the ice, and as long as the ice is there, she's still alive," and whatnot. And Leon's like, "You're a dumb asshole." And then they do some more shonen battles, and Gray uses a sweet ass like ice sword to like cut up him real good, and then they get into a conversation because Leon casts like this snow tiger, and then Gray puts the snow tiger in like a snow or like an ice cage that it can't escape from, and Gray's like, "It's because you use one hand, you dumb shit. You're supposed to use two hands to fight." And so that's what it gets for. Then he does this fucking sweet ass like ice cannon and blows the shit out of Leon, and then Leon like gets knocked out. He's all bloody and tired, and then Gray like is all bloody and tired, and then we see Natsu get blasted up the stairs, and then we hear like a giant roar. And even out in like Lucy and Urza are like, "What the fuck is that?" And then Zelti's like, "Yes, he has come," and everyone's like, "Fuck." And so Gray's like, I have to use Ice Shell to defeat him. So Deloria is coming out. Zelti's happy. Urza and Lucy run over. They see that the Moondrop is still going on, and they head upstairs to take care of that. Natsu's still getting kind of pushed around by Zelti that he's fighting, but the time magic lets them like control the stones and like move it around and attack him from different angles, and he's like undeterred by the whole situation. And he gets some like let's see, yep. And then Deloria's still kind of waking up from the ice, and then Natsu gets like a real good, I think this is where he gets a real good punch and knocks Zelti like the fuck through a wall, and like out they go. And then the cat guy gets beat up by Urza like real quick, but it's too late because everyone's like, "Fuck, Deloria's coming." And then we get a shot of Gray and Natsu in the underground with Deloria being like, "Roar!" And then Natsu, Gray and Leon are all kind of sitting around watching Deloria, and Gray and Leon's like, "I got this. I'm finally gonna get my revenge." And then we get like a flashback with him, and they're talking about and all this stuff. And then Deloria's like, "I only fight the greatest wizard, the greatest that biatch or whatever." And we find out she has a daughter, but that something happened between her and her daughter. And so some people are like, "Oh, you're taking on these like handsome young boys to be your disciples because you're replacing your daughter." And then we go back to the present, and Leon's like, "I got this. I'm gonna do this." And Gray knocks him out with like a push, shove push. And then he starts casting Ice Shell because he's got to do this thing again. And then Natsu's like, "I already told you, I'm not gonna fucking let you do that." So he gets in the way, and he's like, "I got this. You didn't hear me then, but you're gonna hear me now." And then Deloria goes to like punch Natsu with all his strength, and he starts breaking apart. They're like, "The fuck?" And then Leon's like, "No!" And then Deloria just like is already dead and completely comes apart and just crashes in the ground. And then Leon's like, "All that work I did all these 3 years bringing him here, it's like there's no way I could ever surpass her and whatever." And then Natsu's like, "Wow, your teacher was fucking sweet." She like drained all that power away. And then Gray's sad and crying, and then Natsu's like, hey, don't worry, she melted out, now she's part of the sea, so she'll always be with you. And then we get like a little kind of like, oh, so lived and Gray, and everyone's feeling great about everything that happened. And then old friends, like we see Gray picking up Leon, and like they're gonna put her their grievances. And then Natsu's like, yeah, we did it, it's over, and everyone's like celebrating and cheering. And then Urza's got this like super scary face, and she's like, the fuck, it's not over yet. They're like, what? It's like, the quest wasn't to defeat this demon, you dipshits. The quest was to take care of the village, like cure the village. And they all look at Leon, and he's like, I don't have anything to do with it. And then he explains that, like, hey man, we've been doing this for 3 years, and like none of us turned into demons, so it's villagers turn into demons. There's like more shenanigans going on there, so you get that checked out. And then Urza's like thinking, she's like, and then we also, like, Leon, Natsu wants to punish Leon some more, but Urza had found out from the cat guy that they all came here because they all joined up with Leon because Deloria had destroyed all their families and killed them, so they just wanted to get revenge. And she's like, it's fine, they didn't do anything wrong, whatever. And then before they leave, Gray looks over at Leon and is like, hey, join a guild and make some new friends. You're going to do great. So we head back to the village, and it's restored, completely restored, and everyone's celebrating, but they're still upset because the moon is still in the sky, and so they're still cursed. And then, like, Natsu's thinking about it, and clearly Zalti, like, reversed time on the village being destroyed and, like, cured it all. And then Lucy is like, ooh, my luggage, good. And she bumps into the elder, who's like, you were called here to destroy the moon. I want you to destroy the moon. And the nurse is like, let me tell you some more about this. And then she falls into Lucy's pit trap. The village is restored right back to where the pit trap was. She just climbs out like with like nothing's a big deal. And she made some like, yeah, when she fell. And everyone's like, oh, it's so cute. And then Lucy's like, oh no, she's going to kill me. But then she comes out, and they're talking about dying and the demons and the curse. And then they start talking about, like, why don't you just go to the ruins? Like, we tried to go to the ruins, but every time we tried to go to the ruins, we couldn't get to it. And then we see Zalti just kind of watching, and she notices that Urza's like, I see. So I guess we had to destroy the moon. And so she's like, come with me, Natsu. We're going to destroy the moon. And Natsu's like, yay! And so the purple moon, she gets out her, like, her giant armor and her giant armor spear thing, and what she's going to do, she's going to toss the spear at the same time that Natsu gives her like a boost with this fire magic, and he's like, awesome, I love this. And so they do it, and the spear goes up, and everyone's like, oh, they're really going to destroy the moon, and they hit it, and it cracks, and they're like, yay, the moon. It's destroyed. But it's not the moon, it's like a cage. And then we find out that the moon drip, what it was causing is this crazy like shell over the island that made the moon look purple. It's just like all the gas collected and sealed, and let's see, the gas crystallized and covered the sky over the island. That's why the moon looked purple, yeah. So then the moon's destroyed, but then we get the real moon, and then everyone's like sparkles, and they're still demons. And they're like, Nani desu ka? And then we find out that the moon drip and the moon thing and all that craziness had no effect on their bodies. What it affected was their memories, because these people, all these villagers, are demons. They're originally demons. So it's not like they were transformed into humans. They had magic to make themselves look human, and then they thought that the human form was their actual form, but that was not the case. So good stuff. And then at that point, Bobo shows up, because he wasn't actually dead. He just like left the island at some point, and then when he noticed everyone lost their memories and that there was an issue, so he didn't want to go back because he didn't want to lose his memories, and he was trying to find a way to help. And everyone's super happy, and him and his dad like hug it out, and they're so happy, and they're demons, and everyone's flying up, and then someone's like, oh, they're more angels than demons, they're so cute and fun. And it's like, yay, let's have a festival, hooray, hooray. And then we get Zalti, and she starts talking to an orb, and it's Sigrun, back at the council. And we find out that Zalti is actually that hot woman that was hanging out with him, old Tyr, and that this Zalti thing was just like a part of her magic or whatever. And so so it's like the battle's over, time for kind of the wrap up. So we see Lucy looking very closely at Gray, who has like a nice new scar on his forehead, and she's being very cute about it. And like, ooh, scars. And then Natsu gets kind of like jealous-ish a bit. And then the people in the village are like, here's your reward. And Urza's like, we can't take the reward because these rebels didn't actually do anything they were supposed to do. And so they didn't actually take the quest, so whatever. And then the leader's like, oh, let's give you something as a token of friendship. And they're like, yes, we're going to get money after all. And Urza's like, no, that besmirches our name. It's opposed to guild doctrine. So you guys keep your money and have a good time. And like, well, at least let us give you a ride back. And she's like, no, I have my own ride. And it's the pirate ship she took over. And Gray and Happy are like, oh. Goodness. And then they thank everybody, and they head on back. And then we get like a nice little shot of like Leon's crew, and they're all standing around. And Leon's talking about how Gray inspired him, and he asks about the I think it's the Pegasus Guild. No, the Lamia Guild, because Sherry and the other two guys, they were part of the Lamia Guild. It's like, maybe we should go back and join the Lamia Guild again. Maybe that'll be fun. Heading back to the council, we get Sigrun and Altair talking. And she apologizes for not capturing Deloria, and he's like, no, it's cool, whatever. And then they talk about and is Altair's mom. Dun, dun, dun. And she just mentions that at some point that she was way too focused on magic and she abandoned her father, or Altair's father, and that she was a cruel woman, so she doesn't really miss her. But that, and then Sigrun's like, well, she would have been a wizard saint if she had lived, which is like the top tier level wizard and whatnot. And then Altair also mentions that she was never much of a loss to her mother, and then he wants to ask more questions, but he's like, no. And then she has like this giant bruise pop on her face, and he's like, aha, Natsu hit you pretty hard, huh? And she's like, I hate that. And she's like, he's much stronger than I thought he was, and he's going to definitely get much stronger. Like, I was using half my power, and he was keeping up, but, someday he'll be better. And then Sigrun makes a comment about how he's going to continue to burn bright and be great. And then the crew returns to Magnolia, and they're all happy, and they're celebrating. And then Lucy got her, like, key for the centaur, which is great. And then they walk in, and dun, 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 the guild house is covered in, like, I don't even know what to call these things, like, not spears, like battering rams almost. And they're like, oh my gosh, what happened to the guild? And it's all smashed up and whatnot. Like, what is the meaning of this? And then Mary Jane walks up, and she's like, I hate to say it, but we were defeated by the Phantom Lord Guild. So they head down to the basement where everyone's hanging out, and Makarov's just like, whatever, it's just a guild. Not worried about it. Because Phantom Lord is not a black guild or an evil guild. They're just like another guild that's like the rival guild for Fairy Tail. And so we get some information about that, how it's not going to be a big deal. And Natsu wants to go get revenge, but Makarov's like, nah. I have to punish you guys. So he smacks him on the head and then slaps Lucy on the butt. Not once, but twice. And she's like, why am I getting punished more? And it's like, because he's a pervert, duh. And then they talk about how no one was in the guild because they attacked in like the middle of the night, and that we should just ignore them. And then Natsu's like, I can't do it. And then he gives like Lucy another spanking for Natsu acting up. And then Mary Jane explains that like battles, like conflict between guilds is forbidden by the council, and that they don't want to start anything and leave a bad taste in people's mouths about magic and the council and their ability to kind of hold tight to the magicians. Lucy's heading back, thinking about how excited she is to just be in her house, take a shower, and all that stuff. And of course, when she walks in, dun dun dun, everyone's there: Gray, Natsu, and Urza. And then she's like, "Oh, get out of my house!" And she throws her suitcase at Natsu. Urza then explains that they're concerned about Phantom Lord targeting people, so that Gray and Natsu were going to come stay with her so that they could all be together and not be zoned out. But then, because Urza doesn't trust the boys to not be perverts, she showed up too to make sure everything was going to be good. So Urza is going to spend the night with Lucy, and the boys are going to hang out in the living room or whatever. And then she's like, you two need a bath. And they're like, we don't want to take a bath. And she's like, then we'll go do it like we used to. And Lucy's like, what kind of relationship do you fucking people have? We also get Urza uses her what is it called? Her change of clothes magic to put on pajamas instead of just putting pajamas on. And then we learn about wizard saints. Wizard saints are like the top masters, the greatest wizards in all the land. Like Makarov is a wizard saint, and then the Phantom Lord Guild has, I think, two, both the masters. Oh, Mary Jane are trying to avoid it. Saves the entire magic world. The Phantom Lord's master, Jose, is a wizard saint. Yeah, so I think it's just that. They were both wizard saints, so they're super good. We then learn that they have 4 S-Class members, the Element 4, and then they also have Gajil, who's the Iron Dragon Slayer. An Iron Dragon Slayer, so he's like Natsu, only he eats iron instead of fire, instead of the dragon. So then we head over to the Phantom Lord Guild, and we meet Gajil, Kurogane. And he's like eating something, and someone comes up and bothers him, so he smashes him real hard. He's got this like iron fist. And then Natsu's like, we got more power than them, what is it, Gajil? How many times have I told people? Oh, yeah. Anyway, so then Jose shows up, and he's chit-chatting, and he's like, oh, hello, master. I took care of it. Don't worry. So the next day in the Magnolia Town Square, we see, what's her name? Levy and her squad, her team, and they're all Jet and Droid. That's who they're too. So Levy is like close friends with Lucy. We get this in like a side panel kind of thing where she likes to read. Actually, maybe we get it later. Anyway, so the deal with Levy is that she's also 17 like Lucy, and they both like to read, and they both like similar stuff, so they've been kind of like behind the scenes but good friends. The other thing Phantom did is they put their emblem on Levy after they like put him up on the tree, and then Makarov's like, "The fuck is going on? No one does this to my children." And he breaks the tree down, and he's like, "This means war." While they're in recovery, Lucy's like very, very sad. Oh, this is where Lucy kind of recalls like when she first got to the guild. Levy's like, "Oh, you're writing a book? I want to read. I love reading." And she's like, "No, I can't." She's like, "No, you need friends to help you read." And then they all chat, and then that's when Lucy and Levy are like, "We're best friends forever." Meanwhile, over at the Phantom Lord Guild, they're all laughing about what happened in Turin and whatnot. When the door bursts open, and it's Natsu, and not just Natsu, all of Fairy Tale, and they're like, "It's time to go, motherfuckers!" And they start busting up the joint, including Makarov, who uses his like giant powers, and they're like smash, 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 smash. And Gajil's just kind of watching from top, and he's like, "Oh, they're such violent trash." Meanwhile, Lucy, who is visiting her friend Levy, who is in recovery, she's like, "Oh, everyone left without me," and she's just walking. And then we meet Juvia, who is one of the element 4s, and she's walking, and it's raining everywhere. And then Lucy's like, "Oh, that's weird," because she's just saying random crap. And then at that point, this guy like pops out of the ground, and he looks all crazy and wonky, and he's like, "What are you doing, mademoiselle? Look, that's her. That's the person we came for." And they both turn, and they introduce themselves. So it's Soul of the Great Earth and Juvia of the Great Sea, 2 of the element 4. And Lucy's like, "I got you." And then she immediately gets put in like a water cage. And Juvia's like, "Don't worry, I won't let you drown, but you're going to pass out." And then they make the mention that, and this is something Jose had mentioned, like needing somebody from Fairy Tale alive. Like the reason for the attacks and all this stuff is because they wanted to get somebody, and they need her alive. And so they capture Lucy, and they're like, "Aha, victoire, she is captured." And that wraps up volume 6. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and catch you guys all later. Bye.